Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to our Haas Hot Challenge. We are about to continue where we left off. We're currently fourth in championship, but excuse me, but Mercedes isn't too far behind, so we could have a little bit of a fight here. Hulkenberg is slightly carrying us here, but Magnussen is getting into his zone. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this season is going to shape up. If you have enjoyed the series so far, please like and subscribe if you haven't, as that helps me out a ton. Thank you very much. And I would be very happy if you did so. But I'm a little bit unsure what we want to do here with our staff. With our drivers, Fittipaldi is running out of contract. And honestly, well, not really something interesting. If you put it into different perspective, Porsche ended up winning the F2 championship. So I think we're going to pick him up and maybe try and get him to a world championship title over the course of this this playthrough. Maybe season 3. We'll see how long we keep Hulkenberg around, how long he wants to stay around. So I'm thinking that we are going to put Porsche in as a reserve, give him a 2-season long contract, and then we can just promote him as we see fit. Now, I'm a little bit uncertain what kind of salary he would demand, so let's just see if we can go ahead and give him $1 million. If that is good enough, we might need to sweeten the pot a little bit, as you can see. I'm thinking that we also add in a, say, 250k signing bonus. We have a decent chunk of money right now, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And let's just up it to 1.5. Generally, drivers want a lot of money this year, so this might be a little bit too little. We're getting closer though. 1750 maybe. I'm being a little bit too greedy, honestly. We might need to go up to 2 million at this rate, but he'll be happy with that. So at least we have the drivers sorted now to Porsche, but I have also been requested to have a look at a different driver, so we're just going to go ahead and do that through the scouting. Paul Aaron, I believe is his name. There he is. So let's go for detailed scouting, see what he looks like. Estonian. So one of the a Baltic driver. Could be interesting, honestly. So we'll have a look at him and see what we figure out. We have also a new ATR period started, which means that we're probably going to spend that too on research. Honestly, at this point, we're just going to keep on researching until the end of the season, because that way we'll have a very competitive car for next season. Which is honestly how I prefer to play the game, but as you've seen from my recent series, it's definitely possible to go full-on aggressive and still have a very, very decent car. But this is more, I feel like, in line with what you'd expect in terms of progression. Although, maybe we'll have to limit ourselves to, say, 3 slots in a different save to slow down progression. We'll see. For now, though, we are moving ahead. I'm just going to double check where we're at. It's been a while since I've been on the save, so with everything going on, I just need a couple of minutes here to reacquaint myself. But I think everything is in order. We'll deal with the staff probably a little bit later. Currently, if we have a look at the technical chiefs and who are available to us, Resta is still going to be the best option, but we can probably pick up one of the higher rated ones, although there's just 4 of them. I'd say next season, potentially, at the end of next season. So, with that said, we're probably just going to keep the staff that we have. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and negotiate new contracts quick, and we'll see what we end up with. There we go. New contracts has been negotiated, but we're going to have a little bit of an increase in cost. So, Resta went from basically a contract that is 1.5 million to close to 3 million. And basically the other staff here too, almost a 600,000 increase for Gannon, for Slade here, 200 or something increase, but it is what it is. Staff is, and generally just contract negotiations are pretty expensive in this game. So at least we got that out of the way, and we can keep some decent staff around. I did go ahead and just do a very, very simple upgrade of the staff. Well, the contracts are just 2-year contracts. We're probably going to win, I would assume, next year. Just looking forward to seeing if the AI can give us any sort of fight with hard development. But as I said, a 2-year contract. We're still going to need a good result, I think, before we can get someone else. So if we can't get anyone else, we're kind of secure. And if we can get anyone else breaking a contract for just a year, it shouldn't be that expensive. So that is the goal with how we're handling that. Now we're actually going to go ahead and upgrade the race sim first and all, because we're going to be developing for share. And getting the race sim up and running is going to be kind of vital to that. But he'll be coming next season, so it's honestly something I don't need to rush about. So I should have reconsidered doing that immediately. But we have the team up upgrade, we have the side pods. I'm wondering how our car is looking now in terms of pieces pieces saved up, because we did have. Looks like we're actually good, because Haas does have a bit of a problem with the fact that, well, manufacturing is incredibly slow. But it looks like we are up to speed on the pass. 4 of everything, 6 front wings, kind of what I like to have as a base. And we have some financial changes here. Change to the cost cap. Honestly, it could limit us a little bit, so I'll vote for it. We'll get a 5 million less of the cost cap, which honestly is not a bad thing. I personally feel. And for Singapore here, finish position, 1 driver, top 10. Again, I'm not playing it too risky with these, because whenever I do, it's just straight up bad luck. I wish I was joking, but I feel like whenever I say, oh, we're going to have both drivers on the podium, or we're going to have both drivers within top 10 as finish, one of them will just kamikaze somehow. So we'll play it a little bit safer. Let's jump into Singapore and see if we can have a decent result here. Qualifying could go better, let's just say that. So what we're looking at right here is Magnussen. And in front of Magnussen is a good old wall and a rear wing that is just attached by one of the connecting pieces. So he's definitely not drive-worthy. And potentially here we're going to have to buy a new engine and everything. At least he's in neutral. Okay, this is actually quite an impressive view, I'll be honest. And well, I don't know what to say. But we have had an incident here. Magnussen has caused a red flag in Singapore. And looks like the car is still running at least, but I want to see what exactly happened here.
Oh, that's a pretty big impact there. And that's not what
that looks a lot like that almost looks like Stroll's, just a little bit more rear focused. So yeah, we'll have to take a look at Magnussen's car at the start of the next session, but for now we're going to get Hulkenberg through quali and hopefully qualify somewhat high. We did get Hulkenberg into Q3, but what I'm more interested to look at right now is actually the damage to Magnussen's car. And as expected, the gearbox did commit, well, it's no longer there, let's put it like that. Suspension, rear wing, front wing, and chassis damage, so at least got 4 pieces. The engine is now in a position where we are going to need to buy a new one. We could barely make it through with, say, Hulkenberg's engine right here. But for Magnussen, he's definitely going to need a new engine, but we'll take a closer look at this once we get Hulkenberg through Q3. So let's just get that done, and then we'll figure out what we do with Magnussen here. We might just have to end up buying him a new engine and take penalties here, because we are eliminated in 15th. So might as well take the rest of the penalties we need this year here if we have to. As it turns out, I actually have to solve this before Q3, so let's just go ahead and figure out what we're going to do with Magnussen. So first and foremost, we are going to go ahead here and replace everything. And as I said here, the engine situation, you lose about 4 to 5% if we are conservative over the course of a GP. This is round 16. We still have 7 races to go. This engine is not going to survive because there's also 3 sprints in those 7 races. So we are definitely going to need a new engine. And it's going to hurt us. The cost cap isn't a big concern right now, but it's going to just hurt us financially that we need to take this. And ERS-wise, I'm hoping this will be enough, so I don't think we'll take an ERS penalty. But I am happy now that we did take that extra gearbox, because it might actually really come in handy. But yeah, bit unfortunate for Magnussen, but we actually do have kind of the same problem with Hulkenberg here. This 82% engine, by the end of the year, it's gonna probably dip into the yellow zone for the last 2 races. It's not a big deal, but if he has any sort of damage like Magnussen here, it might be in trouble. and hopefully we can make it through with the gearboxes that we have. But I think it will be fine as long as we, you know, do not cause any incidents. Shame about Magnussen though, but at least he spices up these videos somewhat with his antics. So Hulkenberg managed to get up into 6th here, and depending on what penalty Charles have, could very well be starting 2nd row. So not the worst quali here, good potential for points, and we'll have to see what we do here in terms of the rain. It's actually going to start raining fairly early. This is going to be an annoying one. Yeah, it's going to start raining really early, and then it's going back to dries. Okay. I think the strategy here is just going to be to go very aggressive on the soft tires, but as you can see, that too is somewhat risky. By lap 10, it should be fine. It's just a sunny that threw me off. By lap 10, it should already have started raining. So we'll just put both drivers onto a soft strategy, if you will. And then we'll slap in, I think it was lap 10 or so. Let's slap that in right there. By lap 35, it's supposed to be dry. So lap 35. Could we make it till the end then on a medium tire, or would it be better to go full attack on a hard? I don't even know if it's going to survive on full attack. It's not. It's going to make it on aggressive though. Medium tire, is that better? No, hard would be better. Okay. It's either that or we do... That's the wrong one. Or we do a, say, soft full attack into a medium full attack, or the other way around. That can work, but I don't know if it's going to be necessarily quicker. It's going to be quicker by 3 seconds, so it'll depend solely on what kind of gap we can get here, but we can go medium first and soft and try and snatch fastest lap. And I think that's going to be the key here. We do have a bunch of fresh tires for Magnussen in particular, 4 fresh softs. For Hulkenberg, just 2 sets, but honestly that should be good with the strategy that we have available to us. And we're just going to go ahead and put him 2 on the softs to start with, because it's going to be raining. There's no reason for us to not just push everything we have for the first 10 laps. Then we're going to go on to the inters, and we're probably going to be pushing them as well. So let's see here what we can do with this scenario. We are starting 2nd row. Magnussen starts 14th, but he's going to be moved to the back because of the penalties, so it's going to be a bit of a recovery drive here, but it's the best place to take the penalty. Medium, mostly softs. That should make life a little bit easier. Hulkenberg retains 4th at the moment, but he's kind of in a sandwich here. Looked like we kind of nudged Hamilton a little bit, or was it Stroll? Yeah, Stroll. But we are currently losing out a little bit from where we started, unfortunately. Magnussen, no inroads so far, still in 20th. But I think we are kind of settled at the moment. So we'll try and work both drivers forwards, of course, as we get closer to the rain. But for these first 10 laps, we're just going to push everything we have and see if we can, as I said, make a little bit of an inroad. But you can actually see it with Hulkenberg, just how much slower we are than the front of the field. So we're going to have to hope for them to slow down a bit. Hamilton's actually doing a little bit of a good job in now slowing them down so that Hulkenberg might get into DRS for lap 2. But yeah, we're going to push and see if we can get back up into a good position before the first set of pit stops. The rain has finally begun. We're down to lap 13. So it came a little bit later than we anticipated, but that is honestly fine. But I'm a little bit concerned here that the rain isn't actually going to be enough that we're going to have to go into the inters. And that would be a very big problem, because as you can see, we have pushed these tires to the absolute limit. And while it is going up, I think it's going to be potentially on the border.
Tires are quite hot.
If you are looking at it from the perspective of, well, rain. So we'll have to see if the rain here actually goes high enough.
What's this lap? I'll change to the inter.
Just want to make sure that we don't get the bug. I would assume that we're going to get close to at least inters, but as you can see, with the grip level still being normal or good, we could potentially end up in a situation here where going on the inters is a completely wrong option. And that is why I'd really like to just have estimates of how much rain you'd get. What does actually this level of rain mean? Like, even if it's inaccurate, it would be way better to have. But I would assume this is around 1 millimeter, maybe 120, I think. I don't know. That's the problem. So we'll have to see if we can make something out of this. But we're going to gamble on pitting early here because we kind of have to. And hopefully we can still make something happen. But everyone is actually pitting. I'm just curious about what they're going to pit onto. And if we're going to be losing to traffic here in the pit stops. And it looks like we are. Look at that. Hulkenberg is parked now for so long that Magnussen actually caught up with him. So the pit stop traffic is horrible. There's just no way to put it. 12-second stop time. 8-second stop time. I think we're going to have to see if those were pit stop errors. If they were, that would be pretty bad. Looks like Magnussen had one, but I don't think Hulkenberg had one. So right now it's going to be a bit of a recovery drive, but yeah, it's went above what I expected. So should stay for this until we go back to the dries. But yeah, it's not great that we lost completely out here with Hulkenberg due to our pit box being last. But we'll deal with this, and we'll see where we stand once we're at the end of the interstint. We're getting closer to dry conditions again, so we're going to be pitting this lap. Honestly, should probably have jumped in a little bit early, but we'll be going in, and we're going to gamble on going onto the mediums and then the softs, I think. I think that's just what we're going to have to do to be competitive here. And basically, if a safety car shows up, that could really help us. But we are going to have to be a little bit aggressive with the gambling. As you see, Hulkenberg has made his way up to 10th again. Magnus has made his way up to 13th. So all in all, it's not too bad at the moment. And we are getting very closer to dries being better. And we'll see now if Hulkenberg can have a good stop. Decent enough stop. Decent stop for Magnussen this time around too. So hopefully we can make something happen with these, well, a little bit more decent stoppages. And in terms of the cars in front of us, everyone has now pitted. We're the only ones going with this very aggressive strategy. The rest have gone for hards. So if we want this to work, we are going to have to make our way past cars quickly, like Hulkenberg is trying to right now. And we're going to have to do the same for Magnussen. Basically have him deploy, get by these cars as quickly as possible, build up confidence. And that is going to be key to...
Just watch for debris on the track.
That is going to be key to actually getting things done here. So we'll be harvesting a bit. Tsunoda with a bit of a crash.
Sorry.
That is unfortunate, but I don't think it's a safety car. So we're kind of safe. But we'll keep on working this and we'll see where we're at once these mediums have run their course. And hopefully we can actually keep Hulkenberg ahead of Gasly, even though we are recharging a little bit. We're now getting very close to the final pit stop. We're actually just going to go ahead and do it right now. And we should be able to make till the end of these softs, but if we can make it into the points, that's going to be an entirely different story, as we're currently just barely on the brink of points. And, well, pit stops are fairly lengthy, so this could definitely backfire horribly. But hopefully Hulk at least can come out ahead of Albon Norris, slotted in between. So it's not all horrible. Hulkenberg should be able to get Albon pretty quickly, and then we can try and hunt down Gasly and maybe score a couple of points there. Luckily for us, Hamilton has fallen down a little bit, so Mercedes will not be catching up too much over the course of this race, but it's still not a great position here that we do find ourselves in. But we'll keep on pushing and see if we can get Hulkenberg and Magnussen into points ahead of the Alpines. Hopefully, 10 laps to go. We'll have to see what we can do. And for Hulkenberg here, we're going to be pushing everything next lap, I think, and try and get the fastest lap as well. So let's just see if we can pull that off. But judging by the energy here, we might just need another kind of charge lap. And I'm actually okay with that, even though we did set fastest lap right now. So let's just pray that that's going to be enough. Everyone else is on old hards, so I think it should be enough. We're currently running a good 3 seconds quicker than Gasly, although he had a bit of a slower lap. 33s are basically the gist here, so it's going to be really, really difficult to catch him, but we'll try the best that we can. So the race finished, nothing really to write home about here. Hulkenberg and Magnussen both managed to take Gasly, but Magnussen also, in his effort to take Gasly, stole fastest lap, so he nabbed a point of Hulkenberg. And as you can see here, the Mercs scored a good 12 points. We only scored 1. That's going to hurt us in the fight for 4th. And as a result here, they're just now 12 points behind us. But honestly, this was a pretty unlucky weekend. Pit stop error for both drivers here, losing tires. Okay, so it wasn't just the traffic, even though I'm used to traffic slowing us down. We really had pit stops. The first pit stops here costing us a good 10 seconds because of the loose tires. So might need to put a little bit of effort into the pit crew itself. And with that in mind, I am testing a little bit about how the pit crew actually works in terms of fatigue gain, and hopefully I'll have the result of that out this this coming weekend. But research has been completed for the rear wing, and we'll just have to try and make the best out of it for the remainder of the season. Now, I do want to have a quick look here on what we've done in terms of research. The suspension is good. That's an upgrade. Underflow's good. That's an upgrade. Front wing, not yet an upgrade. Rear wing, got most of it done, honestly. I don't think we need to really invest too much into here. I think the next thing we want to do with the CFD is actually the front wing. And we do have CFD time available to us. So we'll get that done probably next time around. I'm going to still put in some more effort into the RS, less effort into the dirty air, and a little bit into the cornering here for the rear wing. We need to get those stats a little bit further up. But as I said, it looks like we are at least going to be able to alleviate the loss going into the next season. So we're just doing that very, very kind of basic. Now, before this race, I did also, of course, mention the fact that, oh, we're all caught up on parts. There's nothing to worry about. And then we now have problems. I really am good at jinxing it, ain't I? And suspension-wise, we just don't have any extra ones. 21 days, which means that the suspension we have needs to survive Suzuka and the sale, which they should, provided that we don't crash. And that's always a big if. So let's just bring the other parts up to order as well. But yeah, not the best showing in Singapore there. The pit crew errors in particular were egregious, and Toby Brown here might need to be replaced. We have an exhausted pit crew now at 100%. Okay. That's not great. Let us not do a pistol drill here. And they're still going to be exhausted next weekend. So something is definitely interesting. I actually don't think they're exhausted is the thing. That's my main concern. But I have a couple of theories in relation to fatigue gain. It might be somewhat linked to car building. And it might also be somewhat linked to pit stop errors, that whenever your pit crew makes a pit stop error, it gives you extra fatigue, basically stress. I don't know if either of those things are true. It's one of the things I'm planning to test for the weekend. I'm also going to be testing how many pit stops, if pit stops themselves affect fatigue. Because what is true is that the calendar you set at the start of the month definitely is not accurate. And let's be honest here. We had 60% chance of a mistake. That's Suzuka here. Okay, this is also very interesting. We went from 55 to 85. That's an 18% increase from one day. 1836.54. I think car building has an effect, but it just isn't calculated in the... it just isn't calculated in the calendar properly. So, as I said, I'll have a look at that going into this weekend. Might be that my least favorite stat, car building, is the most important one. As it turns out, we'll see. But we'll deal with that, as I said, in a different video. Regulation changes, it seems like it has been voted through. So we'll have an engine less of a cost cap next year. Should be interesting. And Hulkenberg and his engineers' rivalry. Friendships is being kind of sorted here, but yeah. Fatigue here, pit crew is exhausted, we did try and fix that, but we'll just have to live with the error chance here at Suzuka, and maybe just go ahead and minimize the amount of pit crew stops that we do as a result. Now, I do want to have a quick look here at the suspension, and it has been sorted, I'll be honest, so I think we'll do a research project for the side port for the chassis and the side ports as well. So let's do one for each of those, and then we can potentially do another suspension. But these two definitely also need a little bit of love and affection, if you will. I think we're gonna do it like this: get a little bit extra energy cooling, get a little bit extra cornering before next year. So let's just put that in there. But yeah, let's go to Suzuka and see if we can avoid the worst case scenario. And as I said, I'll be doing some testing over the course of the week to figure out exactly what is going on with the pit stop fatigue. So look forward to that. For now though, we're going to jump into Japanese Grand Prix. Let's see how we do. Meaning that we have skipped Suzuka, and this is just due to a error with the recording. It refuses to play. It's corrupted in some way. And honestly, I don't know what exactly has happened, but the Suzuka race weekend and the follow-up has had an issue. It's been corrupted. I could replay it, but honestly, the Suzuka weekend this time around was kind of a mad show, to the point where I kind of feel bad if I jump backwards. So I'll just give you a quick summary of what happened and potentially some problems that we might need to deal with relating to the pit crew. So the Suzuka weekend started pretty well. We qualified in a nice manner, but then we had a little bit of a problem with, well, the good old friend Kevin Magnussen. As you can see, he DNF'd on lap 2. He crashed out and caused some pretty serious damage to his car that we'll look after in just a second. But before that, I just want to give you a quick summary of Hülkenberg's race and our current fight with Mercedes. So this was an extremely wet Suzuka. We started on the dries, then we went inters, wets, inters, wets. So we ended up with a grand total of 4 pit stops. And out of those 4 pit stops, 2 of them resulted in pit stop error, which is kind of what we expect. Our pit crew is exhausted, so they have about 60% error chance. But with those 2 errors totaling about 15-16 seconds, as you can see, we could potentially have gotten Hülkenberg ahead of Russell. And we probably lost a lot of time as well because we got stuck behind slower cars. So this was a really, really bad weekend from the perspective of Magnussen crashing, but also from the perspective of the pit crew actually really, really letting us down and potentially putting Mercedes back into the fight for 4th, which is going to make things a little bit more interesting. Now, unfortunately, I spent probably the last 2 or so hours trying to fix the video of, well, the recording rather, of Suzuka. No luck. If anyone has any ideas, feel free to chuck them in the comments and I'll take a look at them. If there's something I haven't tried, I'll give it a go. But even paid programs that's supposed to fix this had no chance of recovering it. None of them show that they could do that. So it looks pretty bad. I tried what's it called? FMF PEG, basically the encoding or recoding software. I tried to remuxing it, but no matter what I did, it didn't have any effect. But yeah, Mercedes is back in the fight now. The last 7 or so races here, well, 6 actually, but 3 of them are sprints, so 7.5 races. We're going to have a little bit of a fight on our hands with them due to it. Now, as I said, Magnussen's crash was pretty bad. I have replaced the parts that were missing for the most part, but chassis, rear wing, side pods again, all of these got destroyed, as well as the suspension that we are currently running a lack of on us at this point. We're down to 2. And at the start of this video, we basically had everything covered. Chassis, we had side pods, we had underfloors, everything. And right now we're more in a position again where we need to actually sit down, go to the factory, and get these things back in working order. But the more problematic issue is that his powertrain. You'd probably expect this powertrain to be the powertrain of a driver that has, well, just finished practice. That's not the case. This is Magnussen after Suzuka. And this engine that had about 70% is gone, which means that that engine we just bought is probably going to be his only engine till the end. And the ERS2 here has been destroyed. So we're going to have to pick up at least 1 new ERS. And that new fresh gearbox that we put in, that's gone too. So probably going to need at least a gearbox and another ERS to get through this season, which is going to be a little bit rough, let's be honest. But honestly, can't really do anything about it. We'll just have to deal. But I want to talk about the secondary issue, which is the pit crew here. And in particular, the fact that they are really exhausted, or in this case, just tired. But generally, I feel like the pit crew, there is a couple of things that are probably having an effect on them, potentially. Because what I'm thinking is that whenever you switch parts during a race weekend, that might actually have an effect on their fatigue. That is one of the things that I'm thinking, because of the fact that usually the fatigue calculation or calendar is pretty accurate up until you get to the 5th, 6th, 7th race of the season, when you start switching parts around. So I'm going to be experimenting with this. It's going to be a video later this week, probably on Saturday, where I'm going to go through the things that I think has an effect on the pit crew. I'm going to be testing if switching components back and forth between sessions has something to do with it. I'm going to be testing if doing some more pit stops, doing pit stops during race weekend increases fatigue. And I also have a theory that every time you make a pit stop error, that also might be increasing your fatigue. So there's a few things, a few hypotheses that I want to test in terms of pit crew errors. So hopefully I can get that done over the course of the week. But unfortunately today, I probably don't have any more time to record. I probably would have done Qatar or anything else just to give you guys a little bit more of a lengthier video. But because of the errors that I've suffered here with Suzuka, which probably was half an hour uncut, 40 minutes maybe, still uncut, we're going to end up with a bit of a shorter video, mainly because I spent time on that, but also I spent time on trying to fix it, and now I have to spend time on just editing the little that I have. Probably not going to be a tough edit, to be fair, but still, I have a little bit of limited time, and we'll just have to deal with that. But that is the current problem. We'll deal with this as we go forwards. It's probably a bit disappointing today that it was Singapore, but honestly, this has been a complete disaster class. Not only Suzuka crashed for Magnussen, but the fact that not only did he crash at well, not Suzuka, Singapore, the Singapore crash, but he also crashed at Suzuka, and the recording design of that, well, I'll take a page out of Magnussen's book and do the same. So yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully hard drives are fine, I would hope. The hard drive I record on is an older one, but it is an SSD, or M2 drive rather than an SSD, so I would assume it's fine. But we'll see. If this keeps on happening in the future, I'll probably end up switching to the other hard drive. And that would make me very sad, because it isn't that long since I've replaced these, both of them. But yeah, that is it. Just wanted to explain the situation. And hopefully, even so, you have enjoyed the video, at least a little bit. And hopefully the next time around, we can have a little bit of a better time. So again, apologies. It is what it is. Thank you for watching, though. And I hope you've enjoyed even so. Bye-bye.